Okay, good morning. Buenos días.
Yes.
Well, we are on lesson 333, I think.
A
Sí,
good number.
333. Ah, espérate, yo estoy en el de inglés. I'm reading it in Spanish, right?
Sí.
Me confundí. Que tengo los dos libros aquí. 333, el perdón pone fin al sueño de conflicto. El conflicto debe ser resuelto. Si se quiere escapar de él, no debe evadirse, ignorarse, negarse, encubrirse, verse en otra parte, llamarse por otro nombre u ocultarse mediante cualquier clase de engaño. Tiene que verse exactamente como es, allí donde se cree que está, y tiene que verse también la realidad que se le ha otorgado y el propósito que se le ha asignado a la mente, Pues solo entonces se desmantelan sus defensas y la verdad puede arrojar su luz sobre él según desaparece. Padre, perdón es la luz que tú elegiste para que desvaneciese todo conflicto y toda duda, y para que alumbrase el camino que nos lleva de regreso a ti. Ninguna otra luz puede dar fin a nuestro sueño malvado. Ninguna otra luz puede salvar al mundo, pues dicha luz es el único que jamás ha de fallar. ¿Cómo? Pues dicha luz es lo único que jamás ha de fallar, ya que es el regalo. Debe decir que ha de no fallar. Eso está mal. Ya que es el regalo que le has hecho a tu hijo bien amado. Lo voy a buscar en el libro. Sometimes it's not, no está bien puesto. Never fail. Nunca ha de fallar.
Por eso es lo que dice, lo único que no ha de fallar.
Sí, pero en mi libro dice, pues dicha luz es lo único que jamás ha de fallar. Es que no lo estoy, ya tú sabes la
Es muy
resistencia.
temprano para ti. Falta cafeína.
I've already had 2 cups.
Wow.
Sí. Well, we
No
already
one
had
got out of bed this morning.
We already had this conversation. I think it was yesterday that caffeine doesn't really affect me. You remember the DNA thing? Pues el perdón pone fin al sueño de conflicto. Amén.
It's always how willing are we to go deep.
Sí.
Because each time we practice it, we kind of deal with whatever seems to be in conflict in the moment. But it will get us to a point when we will just relinquish all conflict. And that will be our only desire. So our attention will not go to a specific conflict in the moment, but to the whole idea of the thought system of conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And that just reinforces our decision to stay in the present moment and leave all decisions of the future to the Holy Spirit as they come.
Sí. Sí. In reality, the conflict doesn't exist. Conflict is created or fabricated in the mind to keep us distracted from our true self. I was reading that book, not reading, but listening to that book that I told you, ¿cómo se llama? The End of Death. Yeah. I highly recommend it. After you read The Disappearance of the Universe, I think you should get that one, because that is just like, it consolidates all of the teachings of the course, and it talks about, the death wish and the purpose of it. And I was just listening to the part where she's explaining how the ego wishes us dead, and it ¿cómo se dice? Que nos busca más allá de la tumba, de la muerte. It follows us. And the purpose is to keep us like searching in the world and not to come into our true self. Because once we come into our true self and we recognize that, then the ego is
gone.
Yeah, it's gone. So that's what we're doing. And the tool is forgiveness. And once that is done, then we realize that, you know, the tool of forgiveness is just is equally illusory. It's needed just for when we're in the illusion, but in truth it's nothing, like everything.
So I had another question.
Fantastic.
You guys will just have to tell me when you're tired of these questions. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about I guess just forgiveness and the pain in the body. You know, I was reading from The Disappearance of the Universe last night, and finally it gets to talking about the specifics of healing. And one of the comments I think is probably a crucial comment, and I've been well aware of it for some time through the non-dual teachings, was, let's see if I can. It was about the fact that it's not about the words, but it's about the attitude that we bring to the forgiveness. Yeah, it doesn't matter. No, that's not it either. But anyway, I was just wondering if there was a conversation about forgiveness and pain. And of course, that applies to everything in the body.
And in the world, in time and space, because pain is associated with guilt. And forgiveness undoes the guilt on a deeper level. We seem to be forgiving things in the world, but while we're doing that, the Holy Spirit, when we connect with Him, is erasing from our minds. In the previous dream, there's a dream of guilt in the mind from which this time and space concept then arose as a cover to the inherent pain in the mind of feeling that it was separated. That's purely thought. But it's dualistic thought, because once you separate, you have two. And then you have the duality concept. All of them. Just from the thought of separating from God or separating from oneness, which is very logical. If you separate from something, you destroy it. Because if it's oneness and you make two out of it, there's no oneness anymore. And that's the source of the guilt. And from then, the mind started projecting time and space and all the things in time and space, just to keep the mind occupied. So it will not remember that the error was impossible and that can be free of it immediately. Doesn't have to know anything or study anything or wait for anything. That's why we were talking yesterday about readiness, which is not of our choosing. We can understand the terms, but only when we are ready to accept them with with a joyful attitude, they will become our experience. And it seems for us that we're practicing forgiveness here with one thing and another and another and another until we realize truly that there's nothing that needs forgiveness, just to be watched and not judged. And that's a true forgiveness, because then you are allowing yourself to watch what you fabricated or miscreated, which are terms of the course, that are opposing the creation, which is pure spirit. And as long as you're occupied with your miscreations, you will never be in the present moment remembering your true creation, that you are created by oneness, but not the you that you fabricated to forget about oneness, which is this body and the bodies around you, and the whole concept of time and space, which is only a fabrication of one mind. That's why we say we are one mind, because we are one mind in separation, just as we are one mind in reality. Such power has the oneness concept that when we seem to separate, we bring a pseudo oneness with us, which is the oneness in the error. That's why the course eventually will take you to a place where you see that everything is literally the same. And it's an impossibility. Because reality is eternal, it's forever present. So we're consciously choosing in our mind, which is not our brain or pertaining to an individual. But we're making the decision not to remember our true self by having to forgive all the shitty things that are happening to us in the scene picture that we at first believed that we were victims of, but now we are opening our eyes to gaining control over what we fabricated so we can heal it, and that will become our only function all the time.
Mm.
So when that happens, all pain is impossible. And that's why the course teaches that Jesus did not suffer in the cross, and all this shit about his suffering and his sacrifice for our sins is a projection of the ego, because he wasn't in a body and he was merely teaching a lesson that he chose to teach. He was not doubtful or resentful or asking for help from the Father or none of that shit that is written in the Bible, because he already recognized that he was not a body. And you know, everything here is not true. Everything here is just a mythology. But if it's a helpful mythology that can take you quick to say this shit that is happening in front of me, it's merely an excuse not to remember my creator in light and to feel at peace with that and to join with that. Then you can release it more easily than if you build a story and then become a victim of the story, be it a story of something that somebody did to you or the government or your friends or your exes, you know, be it whatever. Family, you know, we have put all these figures here in the world just to dump our guilt over them and to crucify them so we won't get crucified for deciding to be separate. That's the psychology behind the ego making all of these bodies and situations. So that one is the bad one. God will kill that one, not me. I'm the victim, you know. But it's all a truth. It's a lie. And it has no power over your present peace if you don't let it. Because like I was telling Adriana yesterday, we had a great day, like remembering and forgiving and, going to the core of things. And the true message was everything should be for you an opportunity to get closer to the Holy Spirit. But that's here within you, where you find yourself and you release everybody at the same time. And that, pain cannot be different from releasing your father, It has to become so clear to you that anything that is not pure happiness for everybody and everything is an ego concept and must be dealt with it as it is the same. In the course, there's a part that says that if you follow the pattern of sickness and pain in the body, you can establish a connection with the lack of forgiveness. But then it says immediately, but that will not affect a cure.
Mm-hmm.
That is another mechanism of the ego to study itself and to keep in the illusion. Because if you really go deeper, you know that there's nothing to forget. There's no pain, even though the body could be feeling at pain, but if you go deeper, you see that you're still at peace. Because you can disidentify with the pain and just watch it at peace, in peace. And usually when the pain has not the purpose of grabbing your attention, then it's let go because it has no use for the ego anymore. But then you're not fighting against the pain. You're not asking for the pain to go away. And that is quite difficult at the beginning because since our identification with the ego is so strong, it will take many attempts of different kinds of pain, of different kinds of situations, just to take us to that point where we said, okay, I got it. Pain is optional. Any kind of pain, any kind of separation, any kind of conflict, any kind of difference, any kind of waiting for something to happen for me to be completely and lovingly united with my creator and with everything that I fabricated too. And that's where I liberate the world, where I have forgiven the world, and I can be still in the body, still in the world, but I will look at it in a loving way. Let me open the door. Open the door.
¿Está haciendo calor?
No, la luz no entra.
Okay.
So yeah, this is my nemesis.
Adriana, ya mismo cumplimos años. It's our birthday soon.
See, they both share the same day for the birthday.
Oh, yeah.
December 1st is around the corner.
Sí. ¿Cuántos vas a cumplir?
Sister soul. 30.
30. Okay. I'll be 49.
Hey, a mí te toca los 50.
No parece.
Sí. Súper.
Yeah, so we relinquish today any conflict for our mind
Mhm.
and every willingly. We surrender it to the Holy Spirit. It doesn't need to be resolved in the ways of the world. It needs to be resolved in our mind. And that is usually experienced when you feel at peace with anything. Any thought of the ego, it doesn't matter how preposterous it is, you're not worried. You simply say, if that must be, I will be with you and I will be okay.
Mm.
Yeah, and you know what? The ego is always bringing stories of crucifixion and murder and attack, and they never happen. It's just a bad movie that we have in our minds playing all the time. Yeah, the Holy Spirit has a much better way of dealing with things, and that's in the present moment when He reminds us, don't worry, I'm with you. Be happy, you're the son of God, you're the child of God, you're deserving, but don't attack, stop crucifying everybody, stop hating. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that state of mind is a gift, because then you can be present with everything that comes to you and be at peace. Doesn't mean that we're not going to have challenges, because challenges are going to come up all the time. But, I've gone to the point where I don't feel like I have to be at war with the ego, because the ego is nothing. And the ego thoughts are going to come in, and it's just watching, como dice Adriana, just watching the bad movie go through the mind, just running through, and just being like, no, not that. No, I don't desire that. I'm not going to go into that. Some things are more challenging than others to give up, but that's just because we've established the value of it.
It should be happy now.
Yeah, be happy.
Let's choose to be happy now and stop being
Sí.
ungrateful motherfucker.
Sí, sí. And sí, mal habla. But it's a freeing state of mind, when the worries come in about absolutely anything. You can make a decision like, I don't have to get into that story anymore. And
yeah, there's a counterpart for every crazy thought of the ego. There's a counterpart response from the Holy Spirit that you can access immediately. So why suffer dealing with ego thoughts that really have nothing to do with your reality, with the love that you are, or anything even positive in the talking world? And you can choose actively the Holy Spirit all the time to be with you and to clear your mind and to be helpful when your assistance seems to be needed in the world. So no conflict, conflict free. My mind is a conflict free zone. I declare that today.
Bello, perfecto.
So what else? What we have in the plates? Empty plates.
Actually, was there Astrid, did you find a link to Hofmeister's review of surrogates?
Did I find it?
Yeah, I was looking for it last night. I couldn't find it.
The most recent one from the
Yeah.
last retreat? No, I haven't looked for it, but
Okay.
I'll look for, do you want it? I don't think, maybe they haven't.
Released
Sí,
it.
ya lo posté, ya lo postearon.
Yeah.
They have posted it. I listened to it like 3 days ago.
Okay.
Yeah, you had said
I'll-
something about how good it was.
Yeah.
I'll look
I mean,
for
it's
it then.
only good because I'm ready for the good. Because if I was not ready for the good, it could be a jewel and I would see shit.
That's the readiness, right?
Exactly.
That was the experience
accept
that I
it, yeah.
see. That was the experience that I had with the last retreat, that I found it so fantastic, but the idea came in quickly. It's not that it's better or worse. It's just that my
Sure.
readiness
Sure.
to accept the message.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for that, because for me, it's been a challenge. It's been years and years.
Yeah, but it was surely better than trying to figure things by your own, you know.
Of course. But
So in
right,
a sense, you know, the challenge is greatly appreciated.
the challenge is appreciated, and the point where I'm at is very much appreciated. And I'm at a point where it doesn't matter what's to come. Like, I don't feel the need to speed up, or like I need to get somewhere, because I feel the gifts and the I guess I would be not the fruits of what I've been doing now, and I appreciate them, and I'm content. I'm like, I can appreciate this moment now and my state of mind now.
Yeah.
And that's not a small gift. And that's something that we have to recognize.
That's the greatest gift that you can ever receive. That's the freedom right there. That's the peace, and that's the love, and that's everything that you are. That's eternally yours, and it will be yours forever. And then, since love always extends, because that's the quality of love, that's the characteristic of the principal characteristic of love is it extends always.
Mm.
As you get there, you can but extend it to everything and everybody. And you notice that you're doing it. Even though maybe it doesn't show in the world, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the gift, because you're always giving to yourself. There's only you, really. And then all things kind of like make themselves more simple, because you start seeing only the common elements that serve your purpose of healing. And everything else is nonsensical. It doesn't matter. And that's the Holy Spirit. That's the Holy Spirit working through you, because the ego will not do that.
Mm.
The ego will find the errors all the time just to judge and attack. And if you're seeing everything for healing, he's here, you know?
Mm. Mm.
And if he's here, where do you want to go? There's nowhere to go but here. That's why when challenging times come, you don't try to fix things outside in the world. You go to him first and stay there with patience and with faith. That's the only thing that can be called faith, and trust, and wait for the answer, and wait for the guidance. It cannot be found anywhere. And it's so good that it's so near, you know? And then it's so compelling and so loving and so safe that even when there are no challenges, you still prefer to be there.
Ujú. Sí.
And since everybody's there with you, you're gonna feel alone and without help and without friends and without brothers and sisters.
Yeah, it's a state of mind where once you realize that you're just, ¿qué pasó?
¿Qué te frizaste? You
Ah,
froze.
sí.
Froze.
It's a state of mind where you realize you don't have to go out into the world to fix anything. You go inside, and then at the beginning it's hard to understand because you think that you're leaving everybody behind, that you're not being sympathetic or empático. But actually, when you start to deal with your mind, that includes everybody because there's only one mind. And what I have found is that I don't have to go out and fix any relationship, because once I start to deal with my perception of it and I start to do my forgiveness, it reflects out into the world reflects back that healing.
Exacto.
And so the most strange or difficult relationships all of a sudden seem to be transformed without my effort. And then the question is, why don't you want to fix, entre comillas, your relationships that way instead of trying to do it yourself and entering into these compromises and entering into el trueque? I give you this, you give me that, when you can just go into your mind and the Holy Spirit is going to resolve all conflict there without your effort, because I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
And then just forgiveness just comes in and you're just like, wow, I didn't even have to say a word.
Mira la manga de la cabrona esta.
Trasher.
My favorite sweater. I don't want
It's my favorite hoodie, but and I've bought other ones, but this one, none of them are like this one. So I can't keep wearing it. Tu mamá me relaja.
Ahora lo venden así.
Sí, ¿verdad que sí?
Todos.
She says that now they're being sold like this. I can just say it's the fashion. And all of that also includes the body, like the body pains and everything.
Sí, sí. Any discomfort, any disease, this is.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Sure.
Gracias.
De nada.
We had a little snowfall last night.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, it gets chilly here.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a walk in it later.
And there's I think
Okay.
you turned off your camera, Gary.
Oh, I did, huh?
He's peeing.
No, yeah, being here we go. My back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
back.
are.
You're back.
So how's your sciatica? Still bothering you?
I don't know if it's sciatica. I think it's my sacrum is out, and so it's just pulling on all these muscles down my leg, and it's the same. You know, it just hits me about. I was up for a couple hours last night, just dealing, trying to forgive. You know, just using it as that time, but sometimes that pain is just pretty compelling.
Have you ever thought about trying chiropractor for a bit?
I don't know anybody yet in town. I mean, I just never used one. I've used more deep tissue people, and my experience of the body in that regard is that it's the muscles that contract. So you have a bone that goes out, and the muscles contract around it. And so until those muscles relax, then the bones have a hard time. So it's a combination. But with COVID, it's a little bit tough to find.
Okay. Do you ever do the roll that you put your knees and you hold them you're in the floor, ¿verdad? And you hold your knees and you make like a little ball of the spine and then you roll back and roll forth. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, well, you know, I had this bicycle accident a year ago, and it jammed up everything in my right leg. So for me to actually get that small is tough. But I have, you know, I've got foam rollers. I've got
Okay.
ad nauseum, you know.
Yeah, when I get released from here, I will go there and help you with that.
Okay, Dr. Adriana.
Yeah, released. I don't know when I'm gonna be released. I don't govern myself.
When Adriana releases you.
There you go.
Suéltala ya.
No, I promise myself that I'll be here until my mother dies. So I think that will be my release, unless something greater happens in the meantime. Because this house is hers. And I will have a year to evacuate or to vacate. Vacate is the word.
So when she dies, then the house gets sold?
It goes to the bank unless one of the heirs wants to buy it, but I don't think that will be the case. I don't think any of my sisters would like to buy it or have the means to do it, and I certainly, to be realistic, I don't have the means, but I am not interested either. Okay, who wants to have a mortgage at this at this stage of the ball game, you know? Been there, done that.
See.
No, I'm just trusting that wherever I'm needed, I will be guided to go.
So in that regard, you're also looking forward to the freedom of being able to move?
I feel free right now.
No, I mean in terms of just being able to, you know, the house is a bit of a...
It's a great place. Yeah, I know what you mean, and that will be the ego thinking. No, I'm grateful for being, because I was brought here not because of my liking. It was kind of like part of the path. I would not have chosen to be here at all, ever. You know, ever.
Not ever.
And not ever, never. But
neither.
But yeah,
Here we are.
it's been a beautiful place to practice my lessons and go deeper and deeper. And then it had a nice effect of allowing my mother to be with her grandsons and great grandsons with my sisters, you know, that they are focusing on populating the world. So they are very happy there. They have like a zoo in the house and everything. It's like a very entertaining place. Actually, my mother is very happy there. But yeah, I'm trying to live in the present all the time. So whenever a thought about that comes, I just release it in the present. Because that's all that there is for.
Sí. The ego always wants to get us out of the present moment, and I see it doing with, because now, you know, we're questioning why we're here in Baltimore, you know, out of the pandemic.
I think all of us have felt that way at some point. Because even myself, I used to spend my 20s traveling and you know, having no responsibilities and just being able to go and come back and start over. And then I've been getting these thoughts of just wanting to go away from everything. But at the same time, it's like that's not an option for whatever reason, you know.
Mm.
And there's a good reason, and then there are like fearful reasons. But either way, the message is like, here is where you have to be. There's no running, you know, there's no need to. Like you're here because you want it to be here. This is part of it.
And the
So it's
ego
been
is
great,
always in
not
our back bucket.
it's been great, not the fact that I cannot run away. It's been great. What were you saying, Gary?
I was just saying, and the ego is always in our luggage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The mere feeling of running, you know, or having to experience something greater in other place, or you know, finding stuff that aren't what you have better,
Yeah.
wanting to explore. I mean, they're all great qualities. We don't have to, you know, put them apart, but there's definitely a reason why we have to be here now.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but wanting to run, wanting to is different from wanting to explore and play. Because wanting to explore and play, knowing what everything is different than wanting to run away. And that's always been a challenge for me, because I've always had a desire to run away all the time. Like in any situation that I'm at, I always have to have an exit. Like, okay, I'm here, but if I don't like this is how I'm gonna get out. Plan B.
Yeah.
Right? And that happens in any situation, including something as stupid as I'm gonna get in the car with a bunch of people and we're gonna go 40 minutes away. I'm thinking that creates anxiety for me, because I'm like, I'm in this car with these people. If something happens, I'm fucked, because I have to stay here. Mm-hmm. So even that, and that when I was in Utah in the monastery, I had that situation, and what happened was I got a panic attack at some point during those. And seeing how the ego still, you know, it comes up with these ideas, and that was one of the things that I dealt with when I was in the monastery, is that every day I would wake up thinking, I have to get out of this place. I have to leave.
That seems to be an epidemic there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Robert left too. That was surprising. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were others that left. I just wouldn't know.
I mean, it's not for every. I mean,
No.
We don't have to evaluate good or bad. That's what I feel like. These things, what the state of mind that I'm in is like, these things come in and it's like, it's perfect, and you can see that it's perfect. If it's not perfect, or if you think that it's not perfect, it's because you have this idea of how things should be. And that's the ego.
Yeah, it's always perfect. Whatever fuck is happening, it's always perfect. We have to learn to see that, because that is our door out of this.
Exacto.
The patience in the acceptance and the waiting for guidance can be a precious activity in our mind all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And then you live like in in a nice wonder. Wow, nice, good.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But we have to be patient because the ego is always running.
Mhm.
Ya tú sabes,
Mhm.
hold the reins in the ego. Whoa, where are you going? Whoa.
Mhm.
No, because for the ego, you know, you have this moment isn't perfect. It doesn't want us to see that this moment is perfect, because then it's because the ego can't live in the present moment.
No, he doesn't. So that's why he brings us past his memories and future plans and all this fear about what you gonna do.
Mhm.
You're gonna end up behind beneath a bridge.
Yeah, we're gonna end up underneath a bridge. Yeah, and if
Yes,
it can't,
I will be with the Holy Spirit under the bridge. Don't fuck me.
and if it doesn't get us with our supposedly security of the body, then it starts in with our children. Our children are gonna be underneath the bridge.
The body pains and the aches and the wow.
See,
But
the
it's
great-
okay. All that can be there. We don't have to stop it at
No.
all. We have to look at it and laugh at it.
See.
Sorry, yesterday I was with Adriana and I was talking to her and she was like, preach me, mommy, preach me.
¿Cómo? Preach?
Yeah, preach me, mommy, preach me, mommy.
Predica.
Yeah, like don't stop, because kind of like the spirit was there very heavily, and she was kind of getting it, and kind of, I guess, feeling in a better place. So when I stopped, she said, keep on, keep on.
Uh-huh.
And I was only saying, listen, we have to be very strong in the Holy Spirit and use anything just to make that relationship stronger. And say to Sabe, fuck with the ego. I'm staying here with the Holy Spirit, and I'm not gonna be afraid of trusting Him. Because to Sabe, in my case, He has been showing me for 15 years, truly, that He's in charge.
Sí.
And to this day, I haven't had any need that wasn't met.
Mhm. That was exactly my thought when the death thing happened,
Mhm.
and I got real worried. I was like, but wait a minute, like never ever have I ever in my worst moment like needed anything. I had too much. That was the problem. I didn't know what to do with all that I had accumulated. But
Yeah, whenever we're not at peace, what we're lacking is faith,
Sí.
nothing else.
Sí.
and I've been thinking that faith and patience are like the same thing.
Of course.
And it's everybody feels like they don't have it. And I can say that all my life I used to love it, like saying that, oh, I don't have patience, I'm not that kind of person, It's so stupid because there's no more natural ability if you think about it, because you don't have to do anything. You just
Mhm.
get back to what brought you here,
Sí.
That's been a huge one for me this year, patience, and I'm starting to love it, really.
It's restful.
Yes.
Sí. Because there's a transfer, like we're transferring our faith or our allegiance in the ego. We're transferring it to the Holy Spirit. That's all we're doing, is transferring that. The mind training is for us to transfer our attention, instead of on the ego, that allegiance to the ego, to the Holy Spirit. And once that is done, it's like whoosh, it brings all of these gifts of this state of mind of like stillness and quietness and patience.
Yeah, and joy and
And
happiness.
like Adriana says, that the Course says patience brings, ¿cómo es? immediate results.
Infinite patience.
Infinite patience brings immediate results. And those are the results. And that is the gift. That is not a small gift. A peaceful state of mind. Like you think about it, when in the story of Adriana or the story of Astrid, have I had this state of mind? Now. Now. And if you can have it now, then why delay it?
Exactly. And then you're not giving the gift to yourself.
See.
That's why focusing on things that are outside is meaningless.
See.
It won't get you anywhere. But using those things to go inward will give you all.
See.
Because immediately you will recognize the position that you have as the dreamer of the dream. And then after that comes the position of being the son of the creator as one with everything. And decide what can go wrong? Nothing. If you're not even this body and you have never left your source in heaven, what can ever go wrong? You see the magnitude of what we're dealing with. And that's all that there is to do for us.
Exacto.
You know, we've been coming, I don't know how many lives just to get to this point. So let's fucking use it all the time. Don't forget.
See, and that's part of the mind training. Is now everything has another purpose. The vigilance has been strengthened to the point where everything that comes in, you see the ego come in and you're like, wait, there's another purpose for this. I'm going to use this for the awakening. And the purpose, that thought of having the purpose in front all the time. It's like a lamp that's lighting the way out.
Yeah, that's the proper use of time to remind you of eternity.
Como un oxymoron.
Sí. That's curse wording, you know.
Sí.
Qué brutal, ¿ah?
Qué brutal, ¿verdad?
Pero es una buena noticia.
I told you would feel happy if you did this with us. O sea, estregándosele en la cara. I told you. She was, nah, I'm not gonna do that fucking shit tomorrow with you. Are you crazy? In English? No way.
It's just our thing. Like she comes at me and I come at her, even though we know, you know, this just role playing, but it's like our way of just, you know, having fun, I guess, because she does exactly what she knows I don't like, and then I come back at her exactly how I know she, you know, I don't give her the answer she wants, even though in my head I know I probably will just do it, but. But it's been great. I like it. I like what you guys are doing, you know, it.
Yeah, you will eventually watch it when I'm gone.
Of course. No doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, let's spread the peace and the love and the happiness. And everything else we leave it to the Holy Spirit, you know?
Sí.
He will take care of everything without our effort, you know? And it was beautiful. Yesterday I was listening to chapter 13 that it's talking about the innocence. And it's the part where it says that the Holy Spirit will give you anything that you need without your effort. It will, as you don't.
Te quedaste congela.
But then he.
Freeze time.
Se quedaron congeladas. And it's
Come
not
on.
my, it's not my.
Snap out of it, Adriana. Come on.
It's not my my
No,
Wi-Fi.
no, it's
hers.
there.
Yeah. It happens when they're inside the house. Send her a message. Yeah, they're gone.
Gone.
Yeah, see if they come in again.
So I was going to say that the difference between when you were saying earlier about use playtime and running
Yeah.
is merely just the difference between awareness.
Exactly.
Right. It's just awareness.
Yeah, because once you know you're secure and you're safe in this moment, then you can start to play in the world, and it doesn't matter what you do. But you start to do stuff without the purpose of the ego's plan for salvation, because you already know that you're saved and you're safe.
And even when you're running, you know, once you bring awareness to running,
yeah,
the running has an opportunity to stop, regardless of where you are.
Yeah, it has another purpose.
Yeah.
Watching those ego thoughts, because it's just basically the ego trying to save itself, and it's a hoax.
Yeah.
And it has us mesmerized through fear. But once we start to realize, you know, the ego's plan, what it truly is and what it entails, and what we're actually giving up, which is eternity, then we stop buying into it. Doesn't mean that it's not going to keep trying and we're not going to have trying situations, but you know, we're using it for the cleansing of the mind, you know, the cleaning out all of the darkness.
And I think that's that last statement that Adriana 1 or 2 made about, or maybe it was you.
It doesn't matter.
Infinite patience brings immediate results. Or,
yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's where I got lost and tied up last night. You know, it's like I really spent time going, and before in the evening, I was just really focused on forgiveness and taking it as deep as could be discovered, if you will. And then waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's like, fuck, I'm just so tired of the pain. And so boom, ego comes in and guilt is there. And, you know, and it's just a matter of, even in those, especially in those moments.
Yeah, to use it, to see that it still affects you.
Yeah.
And just watching that, but we have to take it further, in the sense that we have to give it up, and we have to just remind ourselves. Sometimes, even in situations that are seemingly difficult for me, the spirit comes in and it feels like slow motion, in the sense that he gives me what I need in that moment, but slowly, like it, because my attention is so focused on the pain or the situation that's happening. It could be a pain in the body or or strong emotion, and it feels like my vision is so clouded that he has to come in and like pierce it with just one thought, and then pull me out, like with successive thoughts. Just what I've learned from the course, and then it starts to bring me out, and then you can, once you're out and you can see again, or have a clearer vision, then the pain is not affecting you as much. It's like you start to disidentify or unidentify, or there's a space.
Disassociation, yeah.
And then you start to create a gap. The spirit starts to create a gap between that you think that you are and what you really are. So then you start to step into the observer, and you start to observe you start to observe your supposed self, like the ego self, your body,
Story.
and the story and the thoughts, and you're not associating yourself with them, you're not identifying with them, but you're seeing them, and that gap is really important, so that the ego can then come, the Holy Spirit can then come in and do his work.
Yeah. That gap is, in essence, it's freedom. It's the gap. It's in between the notes and music. It's the space that's in a really well composed photograph or painting. It's the space that, it's just,
And it's the space, the gap, and then you can start to question, well then, who's observing? Yes, like who's observing? She's saying have a lovely day.
Yeah.
I guess they got disconnected. And that's and that's a start.
And it is.
It's a start.
To me, it's sometimes the most critical moment, and it's the critical moments in life, really, when we can break free of the grip of ego.
It's breaking free of it. And coming into the present moment.
I was telling a story the other day. I was in India years ago doing Panchakarma, and we had been in the clinic, I don't know, for three or more weeks. So it's this really comfortable space. It's all, it's got beautiful music and food's all prepared for you and the whole works. I went for a walk one day with an Austrian, I think she was an Austrian woman, and we're in the heart of Mumbai. And so we leave the comfort of this quiet little space and we walk into
the chaos of Mumbai.
Buses and rickshaws and cars and motorcycles and bicycles and cows and fucking massive everything going on. And Birgit's like, we were probably 10 minutes away from the clinic. She's like, I can't do it. I can't stay here. I go, okay, let's go. I said, but before we turn, I said, and this just was one of those moments that arose. I had never put this really together before. I said, instead of focusing on the movement, all the chaos, focus on the gaps between the chaos. And, and I remember saying something like, all the movement is just our thoughts. So if we focus on the gaps between those movements, and I said, if you have a hard time, then grab my arm and look to the sky, and I'll drag you back to the clinic. And it's true. I mean, that's just the way we find ourselves free from the grip of ego.
And then it just and you start practicing and being vigilant, and it just becomes automatic. It becomes your lifestyle. It's the lifestyle. You're using absolutely everything for that. And it just happens automatically.
It's funny because, sitting on the edge of the bed last night and just one more time going in and, being in that state of forgiveness and going deep with it, I watched how later that moment didn't have its purity about it. Because what was lurking just behind the curtain, like the little man, the Wizard of Oz, was the hope that tonight the pain won't come. Right? And that little voice in the back. So as soon as the pain comes, what am I left with? Fuck. So there isn't that true purity or innocence about that presence of forgiveness.
But that's the whole process. I mean, you're seeing, you're watching it, and you're seeing how you want to get rid of the pain. But it gets to a point where your state of mind is much more important and it's much more comfortable, and you're not going to mind, we're not going to mind the pain anymore.
Yeah.
And we're not going to care if it's present or not. But to get to that point, we need to have these moments like you're having every night to get to the point where you don't care if the pain is gone or if it's present.
Yeah.
Because your state of mind is going to be pure.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in the present moment. So then that pain becomes kind of like an opportunity. It becomes, you can then feel, you can appreciate it. Okay, this is an opportunity for me to let go of the need to have this pain or the desire for it to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's hard. It's difficult, especially when you have the pain that's coming in really strong.
Yeah.
Because the ego always brings a story with it. Like, okay, so now you're going to have this pain and, who knows what it is. And then you're not going to be able to do your walks, and you're not going to be able to be physical. And then, it's all downhill after that. Or if you have some pain, like starts to bring you like terrible, the ego always brings terrible scenarios. And right now, for me, when that happens, I'm like, okay, I think I could deal with that scenario and be at peace. And then it just goes, because it doesn't have, scenario goes, maybe the pain doesn't go, but the scenario goes. And then because you then come into a peace of mind in the present, and you don't care about the outcome.
Well, and I noticed even with the pain, there is a silent presence that's right there. It's just that I think from the perspective of this life and maybe even other lives, the idea of the ego has always been so compelling that I can stay, I can be and see the presence, I can see silence, I can see that and feel that stillness. But ego's just not going to have. It's just not going to give it up, So.
Oh no, he's gonna go kicking and screaming. He's gonna try as much as possible. But the thought of it, for me, it's helpful. The thought that it's nothing, and that I fabricated it, and that it's not real. Although I still don't believe it, but the thought is helps me in that moment.
Yeah.
It seems big, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to that place where I'm understanding. I'm like, this is, because if I can get now into that peace of mind, into the present moment, then that means that actually the power is mine. It's not the ego. That I don't have to keep giving it over to the ego. Because basically what we're doing is taking the belief in the ego, the power that we've been, and we're taking it back and we're giving it to the Holy Spirit. It's like, no, I want you to direct my life. I want you to be the one that's present with me in every moment, instead of the ego. Because the ego, we already realize, we notice every time the ego comes in with his plan of salvation, there's always so much pain and crucifixion, and we're crucifying everybody, and we're just creating a whole mess. It never resolves any seeming situation. Like that plan the ego brings never resolves anything. You can probably resolve it and feel some kind of resolution or contentment, but it's not the same as when you're with the Holy Spirit. It can't be. It never ever brings you true, complete peace.
Sure. Yep. Well, good.
Good.
What are you up to today?
I don't know. It's actually early for me. So it's 11:30 right now. It's gonna be 11:30. I don't have a plan.
Yeah. Good. Well, nice to have this time with you.
Yeah, same here. Thank you. Very
Yeah,
nice.
thank you.
All right.
Well,
So
enjoy it. Enjoy
yeah.
your day.
Thank you. You too. I'll see you
All right.
tomorrow.
Very good.
Bye.
Bye-bye.